would stay, I would only be in your way. So I'll go, but I know I'll think of you each step of the way. And I will always love you, will always love you. Hi everyone, Matt James here. Welcome to another guitar tutorial. Today I'm going to be teaching you how to play I Will Always Love You by Dolly Parton. A really, really great song, one I've always loved. Classic 1970s tune, made more famous arguably by Whitney Houston's version, which is also an excellent version, but I always have a particular affinity for the Dolly Parton, the original, and I quite like the gentleness of this song. So yeah, if you're looking how to play this one, then you've come to the right place. I do it in quite a gentle finger picky style, but I feel like it's as close to the original as it needs to be. It's in the same key as the original, so you can play along with the original if you want to. But without further ado, we'll get to a close-up and I'll teach you how to play it. Okay then, so to get started, we need capo on 2nd fret if you want to play along with the song. If you don't want capo at all, that's fine. Then if you want to play it in a different key, that's fine. But to play along with the original, we've got capo 2nd fret. Quite a simple one chords-wise. Actually, there's not that many chords. So the chords we're going to be using are a G. We've got an E minor, a C, and a D. So that's all the chords we're using. So just 4 chords, and it's in standard tuning as well. So you don't need to worry about any different tuning. So we'll have a look at the intro to start with. So there's a little riff at the beginning that I like to do. You don't have to do it, it's not essential. You could just start with a nice... But I like to do this little intro, so I'll show you what that is. So it's just a... So that is, I'm just on the A string for that, and I'm hammering on the 2nd fret to the 3rd fret. So first finger is on the A string of the 2nd fret, and you're plucking that with your thumb and just hammering on with your 2nd finger onto the 3rd fret. Right. And then you want the A string to finish. So I'll do that again. And then we're into a G chord. So doing that twice. Okay, so that's that little riff. So 2nd fret, A string, 1st finger, hammering on with your 2nd finger to the 3rd fret, open A, then finger picking. And the main finger picking pattern that I'm doing for this, pretty much all the way through, is, so I'm playing a G chord, thumb, obviously on the note G of the bottom E string, 3rd fret. And then my 1st finger is going to the G string. Then 2nd finger the B string. 3rd finger the E string. So very slowly that's. And back again. So. And once more. So when I'm going back again, so yeah, thumb, bottom E string, 1st finger G string, 2nd finger B string, 3rd finger E string, and 2nd finger B string again, back to the 1st finger on the D string. So once more. And then I'm playing the open D to come back, so. So that's an open D back to the G string. So again, slowly, that's. And back again. And that's the main finger picking pattern that I'm using. So if you're not that familiar with that pattern first, it's worth just doing this really slowly, just on the G. So for the intro again, really slowly, that's that. But before I go into the main, for the intro, I'm going back to that opening riff. So try that again, got it wrong slightly, sorry. And then I'm going down almost like a bass note really with it. And all I'm doing for there is bottom E, 3rd fret on the G, then I'm just going down a fret to the 2nd fret. So once more again. And then to the open E. So it's quite quick. Is that, well, I'll call it an F sharp minor. It's not an F sharp minor, it's a G sharp, but relative to the capo, it's an F sharp, but 2nd fret. And then I'm going into the E minor for the intro. So for the intro, from the top again. So to the E minor. And it doesn't matter too much which notes you play for this one. I mean, I change it up pretty much every time I play it. Sometimes I go. That's most of the time what I do, but you could go. Or. Doesn't really matter, as long as you're playing an E minor, doesn't matter a huge amount what you're doing. So again, once more, and then we'll move on to the verse. Then to a C, and then a G. Sorry, not a G, a D. And I'm just doing a rake with that one. So like that. You could go just. But I think it's quite nice to try and get a nice rake in there. It sounds nice, and if you're not familiar with a rake, it's literally just playing the notes individually in a succession, but quickly. It takes a little bit of doing if you're not used to doing it, but it's worth practicing. So slowly, I'm basically just going, but it sounds quickly, like. And so that's the intro, and then we're into the verse. And so the verse starts again on a G, that finger picking pattern that I showed you. So it's on the G. If I should stay to E minor, I would only C. So I know it's not a C. I do apologise. See, even I get this wrong sometimes. So we'll start that bit again. So for the verse, we are looking at G. Should stay. To E minor, I would to G again, and this time with the G, because I'm not playing these top strings, I'm only playing the D and the G and the B string, because it's quite a quick change. So all you need to do, if you want to make life easy for yourself, is literally just play the bottom G note on the E string on the 3rd fret. So all I'm doing is I would. So bottom E string, G, B, back to G. So again for the verse, that's should stay to E minor, G, C, then D, and that's it for the verse. Then you're back again. E minor, G, C. And again, all I'm doing with those quick changes for the finger picking, because it's really only the G that stays on a bit longer where you're doing the full loop, if it were. But for the E minor, the C and the D, you only really need to be playing the G and the D, the G and the B string, sorry, as well as the bass note, the root note. So with the E minor, I'm going bottom E string, G, B, and back to G. Then for C, playing obviously the bottom C note, A string, 3rd fret. But I'm still just going G to B. And then for D, playing the open D string, or But again, it doesn't really matter. As long as you're playing the chord, you could go there, you could go. Doesn't matter a huge amount. It's just the way I like to play it. But that's it for the verse. And again, you just... So I'll talk you through that again once more. We'll sort of play it slowly. So if you want to play along, if you want to. So if I should stay, I would only be in your way. So I'll go, but I know I'll think of you each step of the way. And then we're into the chorus. Chorus is very similar. There's just a slight change. So again, we're starting with the G, and again, they're quicker changes. So G is an I, and I like to, you don't have to, it's not essential, but I quite like to put the rundown in. So what we did at the beginning, going down to the 2nd fret there, I do that at the start of the chorus, but again, you don't have to. If you find that a little tricky to start with, you can miss it out and just go straight to the E minor. But for the start of the chorus, it's G and I. So all I'm doing there, because it's quite a quick change, again, going back, just playing the G and the B, and before I go back to the G, I'm using my thumb to go down 2nd fret to the open E string. And you don't actually have to play use your fingers on your left hand to play the E minor, because you only need to play the bottom E string, G and B again. So slowly it's an I, then to the C. So again, and again, you don't need to play your G like that either. You can just play, if it makes it easy for you, just with the bottom E string on the 3rd fret. And then is C, same pattern as the verse, then to D, and then back to the G. But if you don't want to do the rundown start, you can just go. That's wrong. So you could just go, if you don't want to play that bottom rundown, you could just go. Will always love you. And again, you don't actually have to play that E minor. I do it out of force of habit, but it does work if you just wanted to go. And that is literally it for the chorus. So again, I'll sing it slowly so you can follow along. I'll do it with the rundown this time as well. So I'm going, and I will always love you. Will always love you. And then right at the end, it's just G to C, but the same pattern. So all I'm doing, bottom E string, G to B string, back to the G. And you're doing that with all the chords. Same for C. And that is, again, it for the chorus. So it is really straightforward. And the next verse and the next chorus are exactly the same as that. Obviously, play along with the original if you want to know what the structure is and obviously the words. But it's actually incredibly straightforward, but a really, really lovely song to play. Not a difficult one finger picking wise, so if you're quite new to finger picking, then I would suggest that you have a go at doing this one, because it's quite a nice, slow, straightforward, simple one to have a go. It's not too complicated. You're not playing too many notes, but it sounds really nice and effective. And then finally, we've got the ending, which is slightly different. So I'll just show you the ending of the final chorus. We've got will always love you, will always love you. Slow it down. To to C, then a D, and again doing that rake, put in as long a pause as you want, and then the final chord before we finish on the G is love to see you. And again, all I'm doing, because that's lasting a little bit longer, you can play through all the strings that you need. So I'm playing G, B to the E, back to B, G, C, and then finish on a D. And so that is how to play I Will Always Love You by Dolly Parton. As I say, great song, quite simple, really good finger picking exercise if you're new to finger picking and just want to get started on something simple. Really, really lovely song to play, very satisfying song to play. So again, I hope that helps you if you're wanting to learn that song. If you liked what you've seen here, please do consider subscribing to the channel and giving the video a like. And similarly, if there were things you didn't like about the video, then please do leave your feedback, because I'm always keen to improve with how I teach these lessons. You might have thought it was maybe a bit too fast, or I didn't explain something clearly enough, so do please let me know. But in the meantime, thanks for watching, and I'll see you soon for another video. Until then, thanks very much, and cheerio.